I'm going to talk about astronomy's new frontier this morning. Thanks for showing up so early. This is a terrible hour for an amateur astronomer to be awake. And really what this talk is about is the irony that we have. We've just heard that we don't have any kids here, and I'd like to take it further than kids. As I'm sure you know, Gen X and Gen Y has yet to really show up in amateur astronomy, and this is something that our magazine, in tandem with a bunch of partners, is working on in a quite a large number of complex ways. But it's ironic that more is going on in professional astronomy in the rapid development of what we know about the big questions of the universe now, in an era when really the pressing question on the mind of a 26-year-old is, did I explode 39 or 41 police cars in Grand Theft Auto? So what I'd like to do is just share very quickly, because the time is rather limited, a number of areas in which the science of astronomy has really taken off in just the last 10 or 15 years. And challenge us to think about this as a springboard for communicating with outreach and with star parties and with talking to our friends and talking to their families about what's going on in the universe, because we don't want to have that Carl Sagan quotation come true again, in which 99% of everyone who's alive on this planet doesn't realize where they are in the scheme of things. So just to quickly review, as you all know, 400 years ago, Galileo turned a telescope skyward for the first time and made his revolutionary observations. Well, over most of the last half millennium, astronomy, like most of the other proto-sciences, was a science of cataloging and classifying and primitive understanding of what was happening. The last century, of course, opened up astrophysics and a real understanding of what was going on in the universe around us. However, I would suggest that just in the last 10 to 15 years, the degree of answers that we're beginning to have to the biggest questions that have driven humanity's understanding of where we are has dramatically accelerated. And so I just want to review very quickly where we are with those things, because it is the perfect time to put astronomy education and outreach into third gear. Well, in the solar system, as you know, we now know that the sun will eventually die. When its nuclear fuel is spent, it'll become a red giant and then a planetary nebula. Maybe it'll look something like the Donde Nebula up there behind me. It will go through several phases of puffing off its gas and form a shell that will last for about 50,000 years before it dissipates its material back into the galaxy. Astronomers now, of course, know that the sun itself is a variable star whose radiation is dramatically on the increase, and the story of life on Earth is really very different now, after about the last decade, with a bunch of papers that Michael Rampino at NYU and others have written. It's clear that the earliest microshale fossils are about 3.8 billion years old, but that in less than a billion years from now, something like 600 to 800 million years, don't worry about your stocks yet, things are going to be over, finis on this planet. Because the temperature and a whole bunch of things that are going to happen with the variability of the sun are going to boil off the oceans, among other things, and that will make it very, very difficult to breathe. So it's a good planet for now, but it's quite dramatic that maybe 80% of the history of life on Earth is already over. Well, many other solar system mysteries still abound that we're making progress on. Can I just see a show of hands for my own edification? Is Pluto a planet?